the Reverend Jacquie Fernandez.
Good morning.
EnVee's here too.
The Spirit of God is upon me. Oh,
You can move.
the Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, only here for God.
Yeah.
Go now.
Is it over?
Good
Are we
morning, Unity Church of Overland Park.
Morning.
Oh, it's a fun morning
You all are
today.
having such a good time up
We
here.
are having a
Sounding
good
great.
time. We got,
Sounding great.
yeah. How about you? You got some fun stuff happening.
I'm doing wonderfully this morning. Some of you know, maybe some of you don't, but my son, my daughter-in-law, my grandkids out there, they're here visiting, and they're here with us this morning. So, Chris, Melissa, good morning.
Spotlight.
Thank you. You'll meet all the grandkids later. They'll come in with Josie.
Oh, yeah. Having a good time
Yes,
there.
let's hurry up,
So
okay?
welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so glad to have you. And all of you, and those of you who are tuning in online, YouTube and Facebook, now or in the future, we call you into this time and space. We're so delighted to have you. We also have in the band, Alex Cordero. Welcome, Alex. You know, here's the thing. Word on the street is that Fred Albers, our legendary music director, the legend himself, might want a Sunday off.
What?
I'm gonna have to review his contract. I don't know. I didn't create the contract with you. That predates me. But I'm gonna look at the fine print. He thinks he might want a Sunday off. So we brought Alex in to kind of, warm up and see what it's like here, and hopefully lure him back so that Mr. Albers can have one half of a Sunday off. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's settle in and turn in and create this sacred space together. Knowing that we all, each of us, has arrived here by divine appointment. So we allow ourselves, heart, mind, spirit, to be present to this appointment. The heart swells with gratitude for all that is in this time and space. And we expand the heart to include places in this world that lack the expression of this kind of peace and joy and love. And we allow our consciousness, our spirit, our heart to be a healing medicine, an energy that evokes more peace and more love and more joy in the midst of any circumstance. So we give thanks for this very human experience in all of its expressions, and for the knowing that animating this experience in every moment is the one holy presence in the universe, God, the source of all good. So we submit ourselves to the work of that holy presence. And we are so grateful. And so it is. Amen.
And when we know that source of all good, we know ourselves. When we know God, we can come to know ourselves. So let's together affirm. What is it? There is only one presence and one power in the universe. God, the good, the omnipotent.
That was
I'll
awesome.
do my own version.
I like that.
Now, if you feel like standing again and singing, we're going to sing. All good, holy, all good, holy, holy, all good, all good. Holy, holy. All good, all good. Holy, holy. All in my mind, in my heart, and in my soul. Let me know all is good. Holy, holy. All in my mind, in my heart, in my soul. Let me know all is good. Holy, holy. We're gonna keep going. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surrounds us. Let our joy be so triumphant, and we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surrounds us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
Morning, Unity Church of Overland Park. Good morning. Good morning to everybody in the sanctuary. Good morning to everybody on Facebook and YouTube. We're really glad that you joined us. I hope you can feel all of the love and energy flowing in the room this morning. Right, Ellis?
That's right.
Yeah. So let's give out a little shout of thanks. So you may have noticed, first of all, of course, we have our guest keyboardist, Alex Cordero. So that's pretty cool. Hi, Alex. Welcome to UCOP. And did you notice Reverend Jacquie is a guest musician as well today? Thanks for sharing your gifts with us. And of course, thanks to Fred, EnVee, James, and Terry. So thanks to everybody for being here, setting the tone. We appreciate you. Today, we also thank Reverend Eileen, and she'll be continuing with our Lenten series, Letting Go, and I think we can all feel that kind of spirit of release this morning, letting go, with her talk called Imagine the Possibilities. So that's coming up here in a few minutes. And then last week, we acknowledged that we're ready to let go of something else that I think many of us have been ready to release and say goodbye to, and that is, if we're comfortable, and that is the wearing of masks inside the Plex Pod. So this is completely to your comfort level. If you are comfortable being in presence with other people and you don't want to have your mask on, you don't have to wear it right now. However, if you feel more comfortable with it on, we all honor and respect that very much. And so we're all here to support one another on our journey in safety and health, and we affirm that for one another. So thank you.
Well, good morning. There's a couple of things that I'd like to remind you of, a couple of groups, really exciting groups, and one of them is our Folks with Faith. So just want to remind you that it's meeting on Saturday, March 26th at 10 a.m. Also, our Yarn Blessing group is meeting on March 21st, beginning at 6 p.m. Both of those meetings will be right here at Plex Pod, back in the cafe. So if you have any questions, well, you can just look it up on the website. And then please mark your calendars. We're having a special congregational meeting on March 27th, right after the service at 11:30. And 2 items of business. One is an update to our bylaws, which have been worked on and really refined and looking excellent, and also be voting on a nominating committee for our board of directors. And if you have questions on that, either contact Reverend Jacquie or our board president, Deb.
Okay. And also, if you are like me, you may notice that we have a little case of litter in our city. And so one of the things that happens, especially in the winter months, is a lot of trash kind of washes up on the shores of our various streams in Overland Park. So Unity Church of Overland Park is partnering with the city of Overland Park, Kansas for a clean stream pickup day, which will be on Saturday, April 2nd. We'll be starting at 10 a.m. and closing down around noon. If you are interested in participating in that, there will be a sign-up table in the back, or you can contact me, or just contact the church and let them know. There should be plenty of ways to sign up to volunteer. We will be cleaning, I think it's called the Pinehurst Stream. It's at 103rd and Metcalf. And it's not only just for Unity Church of Overland Park, so if you're interested in helping with that, but you have a couple friends who want to come along because that's their thing, go ahead and invite them. The more the merrier. So the supplies and everything are provided. You just need to bring, like weather appropriate clothing and shoes and some gloves. Well, actually gloves are even provided, so you're good there. Sunscreen maybe, if it's sunny. We're gonna pray for sun. That's what we're gonna do. Okay. Oh, and now can everybody work with me to say the joint vision statement of Unity? Our vision is a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening.
And now is the time in the service where we all get out our saxophones. Just kidding. I've often said that music was my first language. And as I'm coming up here to talk to you about prayer, I'm not so sure. Because perhaps the first time I felt like what I said was truly heard, beyond the words that I used or the thoughts that I had, was actually in a prayer experience. So I invite you to reflect on that, the power of prayer in your life. I know our dear Dwight is here this morning, and he came in after I asked to see his ID. He said, "Your prayers worked." What a beautiful way to start the day. So I invite you to hold in your hearts the power of prayer and the prayers that you have given that have worked, the prayers that you have given that have done their work in you. And we honor our prayer chaplains who hold the prayer consciousness of this community so sacredly, so deeply. So if you have not had the opportunity to receive calls from a prayer chaplain, I invite you to visit the prayer chaplain table after service and sign up and give yourself that gift of receiving a monthly phone call. They will pray with you for whatever is on your heart in the moment, and then your prayers are held by Silent Unity for 30 days. So it is a true gift, and the power in the movement of unity, this thing that we call unity, that we practice our prayer. It is a true practice. Another practice that we hold is the practice of giving. And so I want you to note that if you don't know, we have a donation box in the back of the room, and you can make your gifts there when you're here on Sunday services, or you can go online at ucop.org and give there, or you can mail your checks into the office. So we want to make it easy for you to participate in your own practice of giving. So invite to your heart right now the spirit of prayer, the spirit of generosity, as we bless the gifts that we receive, knowing that so many before you gave generously to sustain this ministry for 47 years. We have been in the practice of giving, and so very much has been received as the return energy of that practice. And so as we continue to expand into gratitude, I invite you to hold your giving practice in your heart and in your mind as we speak our love offering blessing. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am joy-filled and grateful. And hold on to that joy. Allow that to be your return gift as you give so generously. And now we invite EnVee back for some more music.
What one man can do is dream. What one man can do is love. What one man can do is change the world and make it new again. Now you know what one man can do. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no country. I wonder if you can. Nothing to live or to die for. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one. When the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer. Let it be. For those that may be parted, there is still a chance they will see. There will be an answer. Let it be. 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 There will be an answer. Let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow. Let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me. Oh, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. 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 Think of your fellow man, give him a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You can stay up, you can stay up. Understand I'm late, till it don't be late, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better, sing with me, for you. Sing it loud! Oh! Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your
Y'all didn't see any of that, did you? Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. You know, before I get into any of this, I just got to tell you, this morning has been one of those times where all these memories, just pop into your head when there's something special going on. And I realized the first memory that came to me when I woke up this morning was the first time my son Chris came to Kansas City from Houston, was in my second year of seminary. And he came in to see me do my very first chapel service, which were required services in the curriculum at that time. And then he came back a couple years later and brought his then girlfriend Melissa with him, and that was to see me get ordained. And now, yesterday, they brought their kids, my grandkids, to let them see in person what it is they hear Grandma say that she does when I go down to visit them. So again, it is so great to have you guys here. Thank you. This lesson's all about imagining the possibilities. Trust me, none of what has happened over the last 15 years was on the flip screen of my imagination. But boy, it's so wonderful when you let it go and let it form what it wants to form. And so today we're going to continue with our Lenten series for this year, a series that's all about letting go. And that letting go refers to anything that we know deep down inside of us is no longer working for our greater good. It is no longer serving us in positive ways. And it's when we prayerfully, as Jacquie said, and then through our actions, bless those things and send them on their way, that we have created this wonderful, open, clean, empty space within which we can invite into our lives all that we wish to experience and become and do and more. I think that we probably have all heard this said both in and outside of a church or house of worship setting, and that being that our bodies are our holy temples. They are our sacred gifts of God, and that they are the vehicles through which we express God in this world as we live our lives here on this earth. And our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, shared some of his thoughts about our physical form in his book, Keep a True Lent, which we are incorporating into our Lenten season for this year. And in part, he shared that man's body temple is the outer expression of the Garden of Eden. And as he applied his use of metaphysics to further expound upon what he meant by that, he said the Garden of Eden represents a region of being within, in which are provided all ideas for the production of the beautiful. It represents the elemental life and intelligence placed at the disposal of man. So ideas, thoughts within us for the production of the beautiful. Can we all agree this morning that we really need some more of those kinds of thoughts, those kinds of ideas in our lives and in our world today for the production of beautiful? So Charles continued creating his metaphorical description of the Garden of Eden in us, noting that he envisioned it as having 12 gates that open into it. And these quote-unquote gates went on to become Unity's teachings on the 12 powers, which were first published in 1953, 5 years after Charles had died. But see, he believed that these powers, these qualities, these attributes, they exist, they reside within all of us, and they're always available to us at any given moment. And he viewed them as a means through which we could not only tap into our God-given abilities, but also our God-given potential. What we know we have and what we believe we can have. And he saw the quickest way to unlocking those gates and engaging with any of these qualities was through prayer. As Jacquie said, prayer works, prayer is powerful. And Charles referred to prayer as something that opens into the very heart of the holy city within. So very quickly, if you're not familiar with Unity's teachings around the 12 powers, they are faith, strength, and wisdom, love, power, and understanding, will, order, zeal, release, life, and our focus for today, the gate we want to open and enter into, and that is our imagination. Now, in my very early years of studying Unity's teachings, I was given a book in a class on the 12 powers, and this is how imagination was described in that particular booklet. It said that imagination is the ability to shape and form thoughts. It's the power which forms the formless. Imagination is the vibration before matter. Ideas are captured with the power of imagination, and imagination creates our physical world, our bodies, and our life. Imagination begins the process of outpicturing our desires into physical reality. Imagination waters the idea seeds from God. So this ability, this power to shape and form thoughts, that's the crux when we talk about our divine power of imagination. So what does that mean? It's just a few words, the power to shape and form thoughts, but when you dig down below the surface level, there's a whole lot that we can learn about our imagination, including what it can actually do for us and how we're the ones that guide that process. So I'm going to break it down into two kind of sections, and the first one I want to go over a little bit is I'm going to call it the development phase, and then we're going to shift into the spiritual application phase. The first phase is where we do learn what our imagination can do and learn what is ours to do in order to engage with it and bring it to life. Then the second phase is, it's kind of relative to how we say we have those aha moments. We have that awareness that we've never had before, and we know that it's just absolutely right and true. That's the spiritual awakening of the attribute itself. So, when we think about what our imagination can do, I really love the way it's put forth in a book by Winifred Hausman that she titled Your God-Given Potential. And it's all about unfolding these 12 spiritual powers. And her title for the chapter she offered on imagination was very simple. The title of that chapter was See It Right. See It Right. And there's a saying in Unity, maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't, but it says to set it right, see it right. To set something right, see it right. And Hausman noted that if we want to change the conditions in our minds, in our bodies, in our affairs, then we need to start transforming the pictures that we're holding of them in our minds. Because our imagination at its core, it makes space in us for possibility. And speaking of that from a spiritual perspective, it just means that we are able to conceive this divine idea of spirit. One that we hold in our minds, we focus on, we work with. It leads us to actually experiencing it, seeing it manifest in our reality. And sometimes from here to out there can be a fairly big leap, but it doesn't have to be as big if we learn to start paying attention to certain aspects of the imagination that we can work on developing in this development phase and through practice. For example, the imagination acts as an interpreter of what we see with our eyes. And the goal is to have that feature work in ways that enable us to see more clearly, more consistently, more frequently the good and the beauty that is all around us that we sometimes miss when we only quickly rely on a flash that comes before our human eyes. It takes us beyond what is sometimes a knee-jerk reaction to something we see and allows us to see below the surface, beyond what's right in front of us. You know, I was thinking back, I haven't watched it in a long time. I think it's still on TV now, but I've watched past episodes of the program America's Got Talent. And oftentimes a contestant would walk out, and it was usually a singer. They'd walk out on stage and be judged immediately based on their appearance. The appearance of their bodies, their hairstyle, their clothes, their age. And there were assumptions and even expectations of what they would offer and how it would sound. But then they'd start to sing. And they began to sing in ways and with sound and style that showcased a magnificent, very unexpected, and beautiful gift. And you could see on the faces of the judges right up front and all the faces of the people watching in the audience that they were now seeing that person differently. All of a sudden, they were interpreting that person differently. Well, we want to try to do that from the start, to imagine the possibilities that exist in someone, that exist in an experience. Imagine the gifts that they could possibly bring that would enhance and enrich and bless our lives with beauty. Imagination also comes up with new pictures and new possibilities for us. It works with what we can see and then starts to create all different kinds of combinations for us to try out. You think about an inventor. An inventor, how many images do you think come across that inventor's mind as he or she is imagining how to take this idea and make it into this, to put something together out there? Or just think of your own households or your businesses. How many ways did businesses and households have to reinvent themselves, ourselves, through the onset and the heights of the pandemic? We had to imagine how to do church, how to take care of kids and work at the same time, right? Or maybe you just want a new job because you no longer have the passion for what you do, or perhaps just for where you're doing it. Hold on to what you want and then allow your imagination to work for you, to start putting together those new combinations and new possibilities of your talents and your skills. New ways for your desired experiences and rewards to come together. Your location, your fulfillment, all that we can see as being our heart's desire, it begins to form in our minds when we call upon our imagination. And then one more thing about our imagination, it is a communicator. It helps us describe to others what our idea is when there's no other way for someone else to see it. So when we think about those things, it's not too hard to imagine or to realize how much our imagination plays a part in so many different facets of our lives. It is quite forward-looking, always beginning with an idea that comes into our mind and then working to bring it into expression. So during this Lenten season of release and letting go, here's what we can work on in order to hone and develop these different ways that we can use this power of imagination. And the first one is what this series is all about. It's cleansing, it's letting go. We just want to keep cleansing that screen in our minds so that there are no thoughts, there are no images that conflict with what we desire, that conflict with what we believe, that conflict with what we want to experience, what we want to be, what we want to have. You know, right now, I think in our own way, we are all individually working on cleansing our minds every day of some of the images that come to us from Ukraine. Doing our best to see them, feel into them for what they bring up in us when they arrive, acknowledge them for the reality that is taking place, and then focusing our hearts and our minds and our prayers on imagining what is still possible. Imagining what is still possible, such as refuge and aid, such as comfort and compassion, such as a swift and peaceful end to the conflict now taking place. Or it could be just something more personal to your individual lives. Maybe there's some old unpleasant stories from your past that you're still hanging on to. Or maybe there are images and ideas, beliefs around lack or limitation. Or maybe you keep thinking about the resentments and the hurts and the fears, all these things that stand in the way of you clearly seeing and focusing on what is possible right now, today. So every day, but especially with the focus that we have in our series and during this Lenten season, do your best to let go of those images and replace them with the more positive and powerful images that you would rather see expressing in your life and through you today. The second thing we can do is spend time in a process that's called consideration. See, that first step I just talked about, it's not one to rush through. It's not one to force. Don't even try to force things to go away. We've got to work with it. And so give yourself time to release. Give yourself time to consider what it is you do want. Be deliberate about it. Allow all those different combinations and possibilities to just start easily floating across that screen in your mind. Allow them to form, fill in all the many details, as many as you want to fill in. Consider perhaps all the time that you may somewhat easily give to things like worry and stress and anxiety and doubt and fear, and give the same amount, if not more time, to imagining all the good that is yours, already yours simply by your divine birthright. A moment ago, I mentioned how our imagination is often a very forward-looking power. And that's true. I mean, you decide to go on vacation. Well, you imagine where you're going to go, when you're going to go, what you're going to do when you get there, who's going to go with you. Or you might have a meeting coming up at your place of work, this coming week. So you write down your notes or file your report, send a reminder out to your team as you look forward to the gathering. Well, in addition to forward-looking, there is an aspect of imagination that is somewhat a reverse of that. I came across a 20th century metaphysician whose name was Neville Goddard, who believed that imagination also works after the fact. After the fact. He insisted that we are able to revise our past. And this is how he saw that occurring. He wrote, "We don't discard the thing that is unpleasant, that experience we had moments or years ago. We revise it. Revising it, we repeal it. And as we repeal it, it projects itself on the screen of space, bearing witness to the power within us, which is our wonderful human imagination." Now, I'm not so sure I can completely get on board with that. And you can each consider his words for yourself and make up your own minds. I don't know if it's semantics, but I just don't think we can, nor should we, revise our past. I mean, that word itself means to alter. It means to change, and I don't think we can change our past. And I also think that if we don't deal with what was unpleasant, there's no amount of new beliefs or wanted experiences that are ever going to last as long as that thing is still in our minds, hovering somewhere. And then thirdly, I always want to remain aware as possible to not practice nor teach what we call spiritual bypass. And that's when we just ignore or we avoid reality altogether. We slap a rosy affirmation of positive words on something and think that's going to work. We just ignore what is really at work, and that's just malpractice. So where I tend to fall in this is what I call reframing the past. And I believe it calls upon the same power of imagination that we're talking about today. You see, reframing something is seeing it in new ways, seeing it in positive and useful ways. Reframing something helps us to see the gifts that an experience brought and then just let go of the rest. You see, we're not changing the past, we're not repealing the past, we're changing how we view it now. And I did this several years ago relative to how I approached chronic illness, which was and is a part of my life. I went from holding all sorts of negative and very unhealthy images in my mind about it to reframing it to see the gifts I had come to realize through it. I trained my mind to imagine and then look for, watch for, and observe the good. And for me, it was a combination of seeing the good that was all around me, had been the whole time, that I had just missed, and also the good that I had finally come to believe was inside of me. Putting those energies, or putting my energies behind those kinds of thoughts and those kinds of ideas not only significantly eased the impact that the illness was having on my body and my life, but I began to see and then also experience so much good already in my life and also coming into my life. Like a fabulous new job at the time with commensurate salary, great clarity of emotions and guidance concerning my then marriage, deepening relationships with both of my sons, a new church, a new vocational call, and the best I had felt physically in years. Now that dates back to 2001. And in these past 21 years since, it has almost, not quite, but almost become automatic for me to stop and make the shift in my thoughts and my imagination in so many more circumstances that have come into my life and I'm sure will come as I go forward. To see it right, to set it right, see it right. To set it right, see it right. When we have those moments, when we have those shifts, that's when we see it right. And that's when we experience the second phase of the power of our imagination. Because when we are setting something right, because now we are seeing it right today, that's when we're experiencing that personal spiritual application of our imagination. Ms. Hausman called the first moments of that experience beholding. She said that's the first phase. Beholding is seeing life, seeing the world through eyes of divine love, seeing all of it in the spirit of spiritual ideas and spiritual truths, and doing so no matter what the experience might be. And from there, the next phase she offered is discernment. And the discernment takes the place of that clarity, that illumination beyond anything we'd ever known before. It is something so brand new, we never saw it, and yet we know it is absolutely the truth for us. That's the phase where we are aware that we really are receiving these divine ideas from God. And we're aware because it's landing so clearly on a screen that we have cleansed by all that we've released. And then the final phase is what Hausman calls vision. And it's not the ordinary vision that we see, with our human eyes. It's the vision that Jesus called the single eye. Single in the sense that now we only see as Spirit sees. We see through Spirit's eyes. Single in that we no longer need to receive ideas or images as messages from God. Single in that we no longer have to think about what it is we see, for we are as at one with God as we can possibly be, and we are seeing through its eyes. When Charles Fillmore wrote about the power of spiritual vision, which is the height of the awakening of our power of imagination, he said that spiritual vision is seeing God as the foundation of all, the source of all, and the substance of all. It is seeing the good, the true, and the beautiful everywhere. When we see that way, we are unlimited in our capacity and our potential to set anything right in our lives and in this world. All we've got to do is simply start to imagine the possibilities. God bless you.
imagine the possibilities, right? Begin to see through the eyes of spirit. The eyes of love. The eyes of gratitude. The heart and mind of God. The presence of the One. In the presence of the One. In the presence of the truth. All is here. All is whole. All is well. All is well. In the presence of the One. In the presence of the truth. All is here. All is whole. All is well. All is well.
So we turn our attention to the breath. The infilling and the outpouring. The breath that sustains life. The breath that cooperates with spirit animating you. And because today you are alive, anything is possible. Anything is possible. Today is not bound by yesterday. It stands on its own and in its own truth. It is available to you to make with it what you will. So we remember who and whose we are. We remember the cooperation of our own spirit with the Great Spirit. And if we notice resistance in the body or in the mind, we simply notice. We do not tangle with it. We do not fight it. We allow the breath to expand compassion for it. For the abiding truth in us is the great I am. I am. If your eyes are closed, I invite you to open them and look at the screen. We will continue in our practice of Lectio Divina Today we have words by Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore from Keep a True Lent. In the quietness and confidence of spirit, I see myself as God sees me. In the quietness and confidence of spirit, I see myself as God sees me. Allow your gaze to rest upon these words and notice if there is a word on the screen that jumps out at you, that takes a hold of you, that wants to do its work in you. Maybe it's part of the phrase, maybe it's the whole sentence. Whatever it is, draw it into your heart, off of the screen and into your heart as we reflect in silent contemplation. We draw the breath in and release. And in again. And release. We allow the heart to open to more gratitude, compassion, grace for that which has been revealed to you today. For the knowing of your own possible life. For the vision that will grab hold of you today. We affirm the power of faith to propel your vision forward. We affirm the power of imagination to do its work, if not in this very moment, in perhaps the next. The next few hours, the next few days, weeks, months. It is with you. It is you. And because of these truths, all is well. Namaste.
In the presence of the one, in the presence of the truth, all is healed, all is whole, all is well, all is well. the presence of the truth. All is here, all is whole, all is well. All is well. In the presence of the one, in the presence of the truth, all is here, all is whole, all is well. All is well.
There are things in life you learn, and in time you'll see. 'Cause there's somewhere it's all waiting if you keep believing. So don't run, don't hide, it will be alright. You'll see, trust me, I'll be watching over you. Just take a look through my eyes. There's a better place somewhere out there, but you can look through my eyes. Everything changes, and you'll be amazed what you'll find if you look through my eyes. There'll be times on this journey, all you see is darkness. But out there somewhere, daylight finds you if you keep believing. So don't run, don't hide, it will be alright. You'll see, trust me, I'll be there watching over you. So take a look through my eyes. There's a better place somewhere out there. Oh, take a look through my eyes. Everything changes, and you'll be amazed what you'll find if you look through my eyes. That can change. There's a meaning in everything, and you'll find all you need. There's so much to understand. Take a look through my eyes. There's a better place somewhere out there. Oh, take a look through my eyes. Everything changes, you'll be amazed what you find. Take a look through my eyes. Everything changes, you'll be amazed. Take a look through my eyes. Everything changes, you'll be amazed what you find if you look through my eyes. If you look through my eyes. If you look through my eyes.
Thank you, EnVee. Wonderful. Thank you, band. Where's our newest band member? Oh, she's not up here. There she is back there. Wow, Eileen, you put the hurt on us today. We got some work to do. Thank you. Well, each month we have volunteer groups that we want to just show appreciation to. And this month is our hospitality team, and they put so much love into getting food and drink and just snacks, whatever, ready for us. So let's just give them a little bit of applause. And you can enjoy some of that hospitality by, as soon as we're done here, going back to the cafe and joining in and stop at the script fundraiser table, purchase your gift cards for your everyday shopping needs.
All right. So let's speak together our mission for Unity Church of Overland Park together. Unity Church of Overland Park transforms lives and empowers people to make a difference in the world. And join us next week as our Lenten series continues, and we'll have a special guest speaker named Donna Watson. Donna is a popular speaker in the Kansas City metro area, and by profession, she is an estate attorney. And her Lenten message for us is called Divine Economy, and it follows the Keep a True Lent series. She emphasizes stewardship as a tool for building wealth, encouraging individuals, families, and communities to know that it is never too late to adjust philosophies and beliefs about money and finances in order to unlock prosperity. We'll also be joined by the amazing Millie Edwards as our guest soloist. And now, let's welcome in our children.
Good morning, everyone. So today we have 3 new faces with us, and I was so blessed to meet and hang out with these wonderful kids today. So today we actually have a bit of a surprise for you guys. When you exit, maybe look at your feet, because it was finally warm outside and we got to play with chalk. So there's all kinds of affirmations and drawings all over the ground, right outside the door, whenever you leave today. We highly encourage you to take a look. And then outside of that, they were like, we love these affirmations, and they were making cards and all kinds of different things. And they came up with so many adjectives I've never even thought of before. So yeah, we had a very fun day today. And I hope you guys had a great time. So.
Thank you, Josie, and our kids. Please join me as we I lost my place. Let's sing our stand, please, if you may, and sing our peace song.
With God as creator,
me for the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Bless you. Have a wonderful week and be so very blessed by your own imagination.
Thank you.